Hi guys, Christina here, and today I wanted to share 3 reasons why you should be using a unique selling point in your marketing to attract your ideal client. And I'll be sharing why. Let's go. So, a unique selling point is basically what makes you different. What does your brand offer that no others do? Or what does your brand share or believe in compared to other brands? So your unique selling point matters because this is probably going to be the key point as to why maybe your ideal customer would follow you or be attracted to you. So yeah, your unique selling point can be as simple as maybe you have an offer that has a bit of extra add-ons to it. And add-ons could be, maybe your online counseling sessions could be linked with a online Facebook group. Like that's a good add-on. Some maybe don't offer that. So that's a unique selling point because you're offering that to your people and no other competitors are. Now, sometimes just doing a unique selling point via just a service really is overused, but you can get really creative with it too. Maybe your unique selling point is your really good user experience. So maybe your focus is ensuring that your customer enjoys the journey. So maybe you have a good onboarding process and then an offboarding process. The journey is memorable through each stage of healing. That's something interesting, right? That's a unique selling point. And user experience is something that is really important in this day and age. We want to make things memorable for people because some people only will remember the ending and they won't even remember the beginning or maybe even the middle part. So you have to ensure that maybe the experience be amped up a bit because maybe the other therapists and counselors are not doing that. And that gives you the higher advantage. Another unique selling point can be you as a person, your personality, right? Maybe you're more spunky and flamboyant, or you're more toned back and reserved. I'm not sure, right? But, every therapist, every counselor is different. Not every counselor is going to be reserved. Not every counselor is going to be enthusiastic, right? Your ideal customer obviously is going to have some kind of a connection to one of them, right? Maybe not all of them, but one of the therapists are probably going to resonate much more. Why? Because of their personality, the energy that they bring to the table. And this is about you taking time to learn about yourself. What are your strengths? Play on those strengths. And, what sets you apart from others? Is it your awesome fashion? Is it your amazing voice? Is it your crazy haircut? I don't know. There's so many different vibes, right? A lot of individuals that seek healing, they look for a vibe. They look for an environment. And that's another way to set a unique selling point, your environment. How does your environment feel to them? Do they want something more comforting, something more monotone? Or do they want something more fun, expressive, messy? Yeah, there's different vibes, right? And this is all going to come down to you as a therapist, counselor, however you want to call yourself. But you need to decide, what type of vibe do I want to radiate from my brand? What do I want to bring in terms of energy? Because people, vibe with different energies, right? So your unique selling point can literally be just you, your behavior, the feelings that you bring, the type of aura that you carry. Because there's people that, maybe are really loud and obnoxious, and people love that because maybe somebody who's an introvert like me maybe would want a therapist to be loud and obnoxious because that would open me up more, right? So you got that opposite feel. So this is about you taking time to reflect on yourself and see what resonates with you and what type of feelings you want to bring, through your brand to that ideal customer. So that's another way to pinpoint a good unique selling point. So it does not have to be just your services, because your services can just get bigger and bigger and bigger if you keep just expanding your services to be that unique selling point. You don't need to do that. You can literally just, here's your service, maybe an add-on to make things interesting. Maybe you have a interesting collaboration, so you have a good network that makes you a unique selling point. So make sure that you get really creative with what unique selling point that you can bring to the table, because collaborations are really good too. So if you have a very good relationship with another individual that maybe this ideal client might benefit from, of course they're going to come see you, right? Because you establish that really good connection. So again, a unique selling point. So those are some pointers in terms of a unique selling point, because there's so many questions around it. What is it? How can I make myself different? All those things. So those are some ways that you can differentiate. So now I'm going to share 3 reasons as to why you should be having a unique selling point within your marketing, and how can you attract the right ideal client, right? So again, this is going back to understanding your ideal client. What are they looking for? What do they desire? What are their interests? What do they prefer? What are their preferences, interests? All those things, you want to keep that in mind, because the very first reason why you want to have a unique selling point is because it's going to help you stand out in the market. Because like I was saying earlier, you don't just want to use your services to stand out. That's not the case. Maybe you have a certain culture that you bring. So you want to stand out by defining a unique selling point, because you can market off of that unique selling point, saying, I have a very good community of women that are positive, energetic, and expressive, and people will be drawn to that because you defined it. Maybe it's a different approach that you do too in terms of your unique selling point. So if you're trying to stand out via your services, then you can talk about your approach to therapy. You don't do talk therapy. Okay, so what approach do you have? And you can say, well, yeah, I have an approach via art therapy where I bring arts into healing because it's hands-on, it's visual, it's interactive. They feel more results coming out because it's an action, right? So maybe that might help to establish a unique selling point that is different than what others are doing, say, in talk therapy. Because talk therapy, you're just verbally talking to each other. You're not really engaging too much in hands, interactivity, reflecting, journaling, all those other things. So yeah, it will help you stand out. So really take the time to define your unique selling point. Because if you don't, you're just going to blend into all the other therapists, counselors, you name it. You have to really get clear on what you bring to the table that's different. Do you create a culture that is safe? Or do you create a culture that is energetic, spontaneous, fun, expressive? What other things do you have a special value or belief that you bring to the table that only you accept these individuals that believe in this? Because then you create a community around that. Those are different unique selling points, and that's creating a culture. You can come off in a way of establishing your personality, where you're using your personality to establish a unique selling point. Maybe you're very charismatic and people love that because they gravitate to you much easier than somebody who's very reserved and doesn't really express themselves that well. They're just very monotone and they don't really care about being expressive. So no, we don't want that, right? So maybe you want somebody who's a bit more spunky, expressive, very crafty or creative in terms of healing, right? So again, this is about you going back to the books and going through your brand strategy, your ideal client, to find where that unique selling point is. Find that, and that is your sweet spot that you have to play on. Okay, so another good reason here to have a unique selling point is to, provide something extra that maybe your other competitors are not doing. So like I was saying before, add-ons. So here's another really cool example. So let's just say you're running a community event every month, and it is a art therapy community event. And we all get together for 1 month and do a session together, art therapy, journaling, whatever you like. But what the best part is, to really set you apart and provide that unique selling point, is that you provide a self-healing kit. So how amazing is that? Where if these individuals come to the community session, they all get a free self-care kit where they can take what they learned in the community sessions home with them, and they can do self-healing on their own, right? Because that's what we're encouraging. We're encouraging, community, but also independence when it comes to self-healing and realizing, the self-awareness that you have to take time for yourself, right? For self-care. So this self-healing kit might be something that people are attracted to, and that would set you apart, right? So that's a little extra, but again, that's tying into services again. But these are thoughts that are coming up for me right now that could bring some good help to you guys to really think outside the box, not just providing just a service. Maybe you want to provide a prolonged experience after they had the session with you, right? Because you want the individual to keep that practice. So how can they keep that practice, right? They need something to take back with them as a reminder. Maybe like a little bit of a souvenir for them, not like too much of a souvenir, but something that they can remind themselves about the session and how that they can apply that to their daily lives, because that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to get them into a habit. So doing so would be a great way of just providing a self-care kit during the community session as a thank you gift for coming. Another good thing to really define a unique selling point is to find the gap in the market right now in the mental health industry. What is not being done in the mental health industry? Is there something in there that you can provide? And that would be another unique selling point, right? So this is about you doing the research as a industry itself. What is lacking in the mental health industry right now that you, as a therapist, counselor, you name it, what can you do to fill that gap? Because when you fill that gap, people are going to come to you because you know what to do. And maybe the others are going to be thinking, oh, I never noticed that there was a gap there. And you are one step ahead of everybody else. And that could be your unique selling point. So that's something to keep in mind, right? Maybe there's nothing really coming up right now in my headspace, but in terms of like what's trending right now in terms of online world is definitely online communities, definitely courses, online courses, accountability partners, that's another one. I think there's a lot around Web3, which is NFTs and blockchain stuff. I don't know if it would relate to you guys particularly, but these are things that I'm catching on in terms of what the internet is moving towards. So maybe as a therapist, maybe you guys can take this direction because maybe there's a gap there. Or let's just say, here's another example. There is Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse is really, really big now, but now there's Twitter Spaces. So maybe you as a therapist can dive into those new platforms and see, are there any art therapists on there? If there's not, maybe there's a way that you guys can jump on there and maybe start a podcast on there or a talk every week about, I don't know, anxiety or depression, because that could help bring people on. And that's filling a gap, right? There's nobody there. There's nobody on that platform talking about mental health. So maybe you're the one. You're the one to jump on there. So that's another unique selling point, because then in your marketing and your content, you can say, yeah, come see me at 12 o'clock p.m. With me on Twitter Spaces to talk about anxiety in teenagers or anything like that. That's something to really think about, because the way that this works in terms of a unique selling point, it's never set in stone. It's going to be changing constantly as you're pivoting your brand. So you have to be on everything. You have to be on board of the internet, what's going on in the world, all these things, to know what unique selling point you can bring, because this is where you find the gaps. So very challenging, but it can be done. It's just you need to be aware of what is going on around you. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have today in terms for the 3 reasons. I hope that clears that up in terms of what a unique selling point is and 3 reasons why you should have one. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you around for more of my videos. Have a good day, guys. Keep smiling. Bye.